You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
It's the dying days of summer 2022. The disappearance of Amber Manthorne is unfolding in my backyard here in Port Alberni. And the rumors are picking up steam. A trip to the hair salon, down at the lake, everywhere I go, people are talking about the case. I've seen how whispers about missing people can grow louder and take on a life of their own. How victims become urban legends, their humanity, their lives disappearing down a rabbit hole or a Reddit thread. My recent work has been on cold cases. Breaking news is no longer my world. But I think I can add depth and context to Amber's story, and I want to get it right. I'm Laura Palmer, and this is Finding Amber, Season 4, A Violent Crime. Talking to those closest to Amber, those most familiar with her world just before she vanishes, is key. But I'm also extremely concerned about causing any harm to those who love Amber. They are fragile right now. They're stuck in another world of sadness, anger, and grief. I let everyone know I'm here to listen if and when they want to talk. Interviews are scheduled, then canceled at the last minute. 2 women who began the Facebook page for Amber reach out to me. They're uncertain, but they think they want to talk. In past seasons of violent crime, I've driven across the island, hours along the highway, with time to think and collect my thoughts. But everything in Port is 10 minutes away. I pull up at Cheryl's home on a quiet street a short ways past the dike. She comes out to meet me at the front door and welcomes me to her home. It's a bright, sunny afternoon, but it's cool inside. I follow her into a pleasant, comfy living space. The curtains are drawn and a single candle is lit, flickering in the center of the coffee table. A small fish swims alone in a tiny tank. Another of Amber's friends is here too. Her eyes are red, and she looks tired and close to tears. They suggest I interview Cheryl first.
My name's Cheryl Payne. I've known Amber since grade 7. We were in the same homeroom for 3 years at A.W. Neal. Our lockers were right beside each other. My father passed away when I was younger, and so did hers. So that was kind of our instant connection on how we both, Father's Day sucked at school and just growing up like that. And we really connected that way. We grew apart, and then when she moved back to Port Alberni, we reconnected with the same groups. Then once I moved into this house about 2 years ago, she came to help clean the house. Years.
And so just talk to me a little bit about her. You've, I'm sure in the past month or so, heard people describe her, but just, in your own words, Amber, to you, what's she like?
Amber, is just a ray of sunshine. She's super happy and bubbly, and that's just pretty much the perfect description of her. Just kind, and definitely out there to try and help as much people as she can. She, especially me too. And when I left my relationship, I'm like, I'm going to be a single mom again. Can you come help me clean the house? And she's like, dang right, so I'll be right there. No worries. And, she would come clean, and I get the odd text message like, your daughter's skipping again, right? And we'd laugh and go, remember when? Back in the day when we used to be, I'm like, just don't tell her. Just don't tell my daughter about that.
What's going on in Amber's life at that point when you two kind of reestablish your friendship here?
Well, it just was mostly just running into the same crowd in town, just meeting up at different parties and being like, hey girl, how's it going? Oh, how have you been? And just like a quick little catch up.
And then life for Cheryl takes an unexpected turn.
This is really hard for me to say. On May of 31st, I was diagnosed with lobular breast cancer. And Amber's my cleaning lady. So I had to go off work and I had to call her and let her know that, hey, before, I announced it to everyone else that I just can't afford to have you come. And, at the moment I'll have to just stop all services. And she was like, oh my God, Cheryl, I am so sorry. If you need anything, anytime, any help, let me know. And I just keep going back to that because I had my breast removed on June 28th. And then to find out that she was missing was definitely after she offered to, because I was gonna message her. She offered to come help clean and help me. So what can I do but as much as I can to help her, right? So that's really my driving force behind everything. I was laying in that chair, my red recliner, early morning, and I go on my Facebook and I seen that Amber was missing, and at that point it was trying to get up and move. Like I was only 10 days after they decided to do a gathering, and if I could sit on my couch, I could go sit in a chair and at the gathering, and I was just frozen.
And so in that initial period when there's a belief that she is with her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend at the time, what are you thinking?
I'm definitely shocked. I believe that they were apart for a while and she was really trying to get her life back on track. We'd always check in and be like, hey, how you doing? And she's like, good, I really want to move on with my life. And I'd always check in with her when she'd walk by me or come in the store. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Good. I'm really good, really feeling good about myself lately. So when she went back to him, I was concerned that she was missing. I was scared for her.
Did she ever talk to you about that relationship?
I prefer not to talk about that. That will be between me and the investigators.
Did you ever meet him or meet them together?
Yes, actually once, and there was no red flags. It was at the beginning of their relationship. They came for a visit and we got to meet them. We were actually late getting there, and they are home from work that day, and they were there before Justin and Amber were there before us, so they went for a walk along the dike there and came back holding hands, just just calm. They just looked great, like they were fine.
There is, in some of the communications from him, a portrayal of Amber before she goes missing as being distraught or unhappy. Have you heard that from others?
I have not heard that from others.
And what about the suggestion that she had people in her world that were perhaps dangerous for her to be around?
Who? Seriously, who? No, she's cleaning houses and she's going to work. That's just far-fetched. They're like, who? I can't see anyone that she would be connected like that to.
I've talked to a lot of people over the past few years who have had loved ones go missing. Mm-hmm. And many of them still hold out hope that somehow, some way, their person is out there and will be found one day and found perhaps alive. Mm-hmm. Do you have any of that sense or no? Okay.
I don't. I've seen too much evidence to point to that. She is no longer with us.
This is probably not where you thought you'd be at the end of the summer.
No, I thought for sure we would find her. It was a lot to take in that, at the beginning it felt like, okay, we're going to find her. And slowly as it's dwindled down, it's turned into, okay, what can we do and what's in our control right now? What's in our control right now is helping Mom.
For people who are maybe just starting to learn about your friend and learn about this case, what do you want them to know?
She's just like the girl next door. Super kind, would do anything for you. She's definitely missed by so many people.
That sound of the screen door you heard was the sound of Amber's other friend stepping outside. This is all too much. She tells me she can't sit for this long and talk about Amber. She comes back and gathers herself to speak with me. We talk about the happy times they shared together out at the lake, about how committed she is to helping Amber's mom now, and about plans to help raise funds for Amber's family. These friends of Amber's are trying to be strong, but they also seem so vulnerable, so exposed. I leave them curled up on the couches in the quiet darkness and head out into the sunshine. It's really the first time I seriously question what I've gotten myself into. Everything is still so raw. Since I first began working on Amber's case, everyone has told me that it is Danielle I really need to speak with. They are close. Amber was supposed to be in Danielle's wedding party this summer. Talking about her friend Amber is hard, and it takes time for her to agree to sit down with me. I drive up the remote road outside of town, leading to her secluded property. It's a warm summer's evening. I'm greeted first by Daisy, the family's gorgeous Great Pyrenees. She lays down on the grass, begging for a belly rub. Next, a sweet, small, orange cat trots out and wraps around my legs. We sit on her pretty back deck. It's surrounded by forest. This is a warm, calm place. But tonight, sadness hangs in the air. Danielle's sister, Carla, is here for support. She too knows Amber, and you will occasionally hear her join in the conversation.
I'm Danielle. She has been my friend, one of my best friends for, 25 years. Yeah, she was just kind of like my right-hand man for a long time.
And I've known Amber because of Danielle. They were pretty close growing up. Amber pretty much lived at her house. My mom didn't like very many of her friends, but Amber was one of them, so she was another daughter to my mom.
You know, you move places, you do things, but we always reconnected. We went through many things together, but yeah, always were very close.
Can you give me a sense of Amber? Just tell me about her.
Oh, man.
You want me to go first? She was definitely a ray of sunshine, for sure. She was happy all the time. She was just a good soul, hard worker, hustler, busted her ass to make sure her bills were paid, and she was just a really good person, didn't judge anybody, had many different groups of friends.
Everybody loved her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it about her?
She was just had such a good personality. She was always so smiley and bubbly and just wanted to make everybody happy.
Her energy was so good.
Yeah.
She glowed with energy.
You mentioned she was a hard worker, and I know she had 2 or 3 jobs before she went missing. Why do you think she liked to keep busy like that?
Well, I think she's like anybody who's motivated and likes a certain lifestyle and wants to buy what they want and do what they want and pay for the vehicle that they want. Or, I mean, she's a go-getter too. I am too. We both like to bust our ass and make as much money as we possibly can.
Well, she lived on her own.
Yeah.
Life's expensive.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have a choice but to bust your ass.
What's her life like in the near term before she goes missing? I've been out at her place near the lake. It looks like she was in a lovely spot. But can you just tell me a little bit about her life in the time before she goes missing? What's going on?
She had been coming around quite a bit lately. I know that she was a little bit lonely out there at the lake, and so she would come for dinners more often, and she would just be getting herself out of the house, and we'd be going camping and, cooking Easter dinners, out camping together and all that kind of stuff. So she would come over here and she was helping me get ready for the wedding. We were like staining boards and everything. Like she's running the sander, just doing everything I need her to do. She had taken up beading. She was making body jewelry for our sessions.
What's body jewelry like?
Body, like pearl body jewelry and like diamond rhinestone body jewelry for me to photograph. And so because she was so lonely out there, she took up doing that to keep her busy, something to do, you know, and she did a lot of things for me with the business, and the clothing side of everything really kept her busy, and she loved it, you know, having appointments with these ladies and putting on some music for them and helping them try on stuff and get ready for their session, right?
You mentioned the business. For people who aren't familiar with what it is you do, can you just talk briefly about it?
I'm a photographer, and I do a lot of boudoir sessions, and that is like a empowerment type of session. Definitely just helps build women's confidence and shows them that they're actually, you know, beautiful women, that they're not just moms, they're not just, you know, wives and everyday women in sweatpants all the time, right? Just to show them that they are beautiful and let them see themselves through a different lens and a different angle. So when Amber seen that what I was doing for these women, she was like just so proud. She was like, this is the coolest thing, you know, and she wanted to be a part of it. So she came up with the idea of being my outfit lady. And it was, she loves that. She loves shopping. She loved clothes. Man, she had an entire room dedicated to her closet. Like shoes and clothes and all the things, all the pretty things. She was very much a princess in that aspect. So this was right up her alley. And she was so excited about it. It kept her busy, gave her something to do. So it was a really nice add-on to what I was already doing. And every woman that came through my doors had all great things to say. Oh, it was so much fun. Amber made me so less nervous than I was. And, you know, she reassured me that it's going to be really great and told me I looked great in this. And, you know, like she just really pumped them up before the session and reassured them it's going to be okay, because sometimes it's nerve-wracking, right? So, yeah, she was just really good. But she was always involved in my photography. She loved everything I was doing. So she'd always come, you know, she'd come and be a model or whatever. She was always just so supportive. Very supportive friend.
And then she also had a job. She cleaned as well. And then she was also working at Alberni Power and Marine. Is that right?
I asked her once what she did there, and she said everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Okay, yes.
They would be lost without me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so she sounds like she had a full life in terms of career and lots of friends. Would you say, I mean, I've heard you describe her and people describe her as happy. She seemed content in her life.
Well, I know that she had always wanted a family. She definitely always wanted to have kids. She loved kids. She always borrowed mine. So she always thanked me for sharing my children. So I know that, you know, she was definitely missing that part of her life.
We pause from time to time. I can tell she's a strong person, but this is taking a lot out of her. Amber was supposed to be in Danielle's wedding this summer. What should have been a beautiful, happy day for each of them to look back on down the years will now be shadowed by Amber's disappearance. You mentioned the wedding. Are you okay to talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
What was going on in terms of preparations and...
We were doing everything. Amber and Linda were talking daily about everything. So Linda's another one of my girls in the bridal party, and they were doing everything together. Amber was out here, like I said, staining and helping me get ready, finishing up the last bit of renos on the house before the big day. And she would message me every day, what about this? And what about that? And she used to be a wedding planner. So this was like right up her alley. She was pumped about it. And yeah, she was pretty much involved in every aspect of it. She wanted to do all the things. So we went dress shopping, and we had everything pretty much already planned and everything totally ready to go. There was just some crafting that needed to be done and, a couple ladies' nights, and we were pretty good. We got it all worked out pretty much on our car ride to Victoria and back to go dress shopping. We had like the whole wedding planned between all of us girls, and yeah, it was good. She was so pumped. Honored, just so grateful to stand up there with me and my daughter and my family, right? Been close forever, so.
Your original wedding date has come and gone.
Yeah.
Is that right? So, I know it's such a huge thing. At what point did you have to just say, I I can't do it.
Within days. First I was like, first couple days, she's going to come home, so it'll be fine. But
Yeah, it's at some point. It just didn't feel like it's possible, hey?
no.
I do want to talk to you about the period right before Amber goes missing. Anything unusual going on in her life that you could see? Did she seem different or preoccupied?
She was totally normal. Like, I talked to her. She was supposed to come over on Thursday, the day that she went missing. She was supposed to come here and she was supposed to help me do some staining after work. We were getting some more staining done. And she texted me and said, hey, what you doing? Are we still going to do some staining? So I called her and I'm like, I already did staining today, but you can come down and help me do some weeding in the garden or whatever. Like, there's always something to do. Mm-hmm. And she's like, okay, well, I worked later than I was supposed to, so I'm just going to head home. I'll come and help you all day on Saturday. You'll have me for the whole day instead of like 2 hours. And I was like, deal, because all day is way better. She sounded totally normal. Normal Amber, nothing. You can tell when one of your besties is kind of down, or maybe they've been fighting with somebody or whatever it is that you can tell when one of your best friends is not themselves. So yeah, that's what it was, just like normal. Everything was just normal, and then just not.
And that's Thursday.
That was Thursday.
Right.
Yeah.
I talked to her Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Thursday at 5:15. I was supposed to move in with her, and I just wanted her to know that I decided against it. I know she wasn't super excited to have a roommate either, and because we're both grown women, so I kind of opted out on it and let her know at 5:15, and she said, okay, love, thanks for letting me know, and sent a heart, and that was it. That was the last time I heard from her.
Why did you decide you weren't going to live there?
I work in Nanaimo, so it's pretty far out. It's a pretty busy place out there, too. I planned on moving in, I think, August 1st. Yeah, and then I told her that day that I wasn't. She didn't seem upset when I talked to her, but, I mean, it's hard to tell if someone's upset over text message, too, right?
Right,
Yeah.
okay. So that was a text conversation.
That's right, yeah.
When did you both last see her?
She was at my house the weekend before.
The weekend.
On Saturday. We were staining and sanding and doing all the things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting ready. 4 days before.
Or something like that.
And I talked to her like every day. If not every day, every other day. The only thing that was a little bit off in the weeks before was when she had told me that she had a sober Justin at her house. And she did the like emoji where it's like, oh, don't get mad at me kind of, And just said that she wanted to support him in his journey, and she thought that she could help him. And he was going to stay there for a little bit until he went to a camp, some sort of dry camp or whatever it was. And I said, okay, well, who am I to say anything? Because I've always helped people my whole life too. That's what you do when you have a big heart. And I know that she had cared for him. So I said, okay, well, if that's something that you think's okay, I support you, please just know what's happening, be careful, essentially.
And why did she send you the kind of cringy emoji? Why did she think
because
you'd be worried?
they had broken up for some pretty serious reasons, and she knew that I wouldn't, well, maybe she didn't know. The cringy face is because she figured that I would not be totally pumped about that being the last what had happened when they broke up. Just his past, what they had just gone through or whatever when they had broken up in April or whatever it was. He was gone for a reason. When he came back, she was nervous to tell her friends.
What had happened? Why did they break up?
She didn't explain too much to me about Justin. I didn't know much about him. And I'm learning now that I really didn't know much about him. So I believe that what Amber was trying to do there is show me the good sides of Justin. So they were together last year. And then...
So what did that look like? Were you either of you around him or them at that? Times?
Yeah. I didn't get good vibes from him from the very beginning, to be honest with you.
He's a nice enough guy. He is, like, I gotta say, he's very charming, you know, quite polite and well spoken to people. Like, you could tell that, you know, he was trying to be a respectful person. Meeting Amber's friends, it's, you know, you want to get that approval, right? So you gotta...
He definitely was trying hard.
Yeah, and you know what, I gotta say, like, there was definitely some nice qualities about him. I had no idea about any of his past or I had really no idea about him. You know, he came out on my boat with me and my family, and he would just drink water with us out there. You know, he was trying to have a good life. He wasn't drinking. He was trying to, you know, stay sober, and I thought that was pretty admirable. So, you know, I'm very much a helper as well. I like to see people succeed in life, and I can support people when I see them trying. So yeah, he was around quite a bit. I would say out of all of Amber's friends, he probably spent the most time with us. I had a camping spot right out next to Amber's house, so I was out there all summer.
No signs of anything off in terms of the relationship, or?
There was a little bit of a red flag at the end of last year. And I had everybody over for dinner, a bunch of friends here, and Justin was drinking. And I didn't really know how to feel about that, just because, you know, Amber's saying he was trying to stay clean. And when you're trying to stay clean off of anything, no matter what it is, drinking never usually results in anything good for an addict.
And then, at some point, Amber decides to let him come and stay with her.
Yeah.
But it was your understanding that was a temporary thing?
She said it was he was just staying there until he could get to a dry camp. I said, so are you guys dating again? Like what? Like, you know, I'm the honest friend, in your face friend. I ask the hard questions. Are you guys dating again? Like, what's going on? You know, and she said, no, there's no title. I just really want to help him get clean. I do care about him. And he didn't want to stay in Nanaimo because he would get into trouble there. And I'm like, okay, like that's understandable. It makes sense. And good for him for trying to stay away from it. You know, it's a battle that a lot of people face. So she is a safe place. She would be a safe place.
You didn't think they were back together again?
No. And I even said, like, are you bringing him as a date to the wedding? Like, what's going on? And she's like, no, I haven't invited him to the wedding.
So initially, when you can't find your friend, you're looking for Justin as well?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I was looking for both of them. Like, Amber was gone. She wasn't answering. Justin wasn't answering. Many of us were phoning his cell phone number and sending messages and, you know, like, hey, like, where? I was like, hey, man, like, where you at? Like, where's Amber? Nobody can find Amber. Nothing. I didn't get anything from him. The only message through the past 6-7 weeks I've gotten from him was when he sent me that live video at 3:00 in the morning. And after watching those videos, my heart broke for him. You know, like, he's not well. You can tell. It was scary to see that and to learn that this is who this man was. And then it made me sad because that's what Amber thought that she needed in her life, which is heartbreaking.
So in those initial days, is there any thought at all that they could have just taken off together? Like, did that occur to you at
Not
all
once.
as a possibility?
Never. She would never. Never, ever, ever. She would have told me. She would have told her mom. She would have told her mom for sure. Like, she loves her mom the most out of anybody in this world. And, you know, she would talk to her almost daily. You know, she had plans to come to my house all day Saturday. She had plans to go for Darla's birthday on Friday. She had plans to do all these things with all of her friends all weekend. I knew there was no way in hell that she had just gone camping or whatever. Amber would never make her friends freak out like that.
Right.
And
So
think
that's
that
just
something
not-
was wrong.
Well, so you presumably at some point you do go to her house or to try and see if her car is there. Or what are you
We
guys
were really
doing
just
at
reaching
that?
out to Justin and anybody that may be friends with Justin. We just wanted to find Amber and Justin, and we felt like if we found Justin, we would find Amber.
But that pretty quickly ramps up into the police being involved and a search for both of them initially.
Yeah.
And so what I was actually out of the country at that point, so I don't know what that looked like here. What was going on?
We did a lot of our own investigating, really.
So yeah, I pretty much turned into a private investigator on the spot. And I stayed out at the lake for probably a good 10 days after, just on my phone constantly. I was getting hundreds of messages a day from people, tips and hints, and oh, I think I saw her, and oh, I think I saw him, and just, you know, all the love and support too, but it was just so overwhelming. I was already a mess, not knowing where Amber was and just having this bad feeling in my gut instantly. I mean, as soon as I heard the words, "Have you talked to Amber?" it was like a kick in the gut. Like, I just knew something was wrong, because she would never have somebody looking for her. It was basically my entire world just stopped right there, right then and there. Like, I came home after 10 days, you could see where I was painting. Like, literally, my world just completely stopped. I was in contact with the police constantly and just trying to do everything that I could. I didn't go and do any physical searching. I could not bring myself to do that. I wouldn't have been okay if I found her. That would ruin my entire life. Like, this is already pretty fucked up, right? If I seen my best friend laying there dead, that would fuck me up.
I recall hearing a similar perspective from little Michael Dennehy's auntie. Desperate to find her beloved nephew, but absolutely frozen, horrified at the idea that she might actually find her nephew, and so unable to participate in the search. Amber's disappearance has shaken her friends to their very core, and each revelation seems to raise more questions than answers. So, the car is found, and then what? Does that change anything for you guys, or?
Well, then the car was found, and now that made things even scarier. Like, now her car is ditched somewhere. She would never, ever. She would never ditch that car like that. She was so proud of herself for getting that car. It was her first new car. You know, she would never leave her car like that.
No.
Ever. So when we found the car, now it's like, what the hell now?
And how did it get to Nanaimo?
How did it get there? What is going on? Like, just questions and questions, and you run every scenario in your brain. And yeah, it was pretty much just, you know, making you crazy almost.
It would have been really nice to be able to talk to Justin so that we can ask him these questions that he can answer, but he's made zero contact or attempt even.
When he does surface, like, are you thinking you're going to get answers at that point, or what?
Well, no. Well, he surfaces with a news release. And I thought that was really weird. Like, why are you going on the news?
Why haven't you called her mom?
Why? No, I am the one friend that he spent the most time with.
Yeah.
He knows me. I'm like, why is he on the news saying these things? Like, why aren't you calling me so that you can help us find her? Because if you have this information, you know damn well we're going crazy looking for her. Some information would be helpful. So he said he gave information to the police. I haven't, we know none of that information. So it was just really odd to me that the way that I found that they had found Justin was that on the news. And now I have a million questions, because what do you mean? Like, what?
So when you say what do you mean, there's a couple of things that stand out from those communications. One being that there was an argument and she was distraught.
So as soon as I read that, of course, I'm now, running through every scenario in my brain again with new information, right? And I could see, it made sense her saying that she was distraught about losing her place because maybe she was upset that my sister wasn't moving in. And so, but none of it made sense. It was all very contradicting because, he says he wasn't the last person to see her, but yet he had to have been with her after 5 o'clock on Thursday because that's when my sister messaged him. She wouldn't have been upset any time before that. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make sense. Well, how would he have known that she was distraught about losing her house then?
Is that what you thought he was referring to? Is that...
Well, he said right in the thing that she was upset about losing her place.
But and you thought it had
and
to
I
do
thought
with
instantly, that message from my sister could have upset her.
I see.
Right? Maybe it did upset her. But then that means that wasn't the last time you seen her was Wednesday. That means the last time you seen her was Thursday.
One of the other things is a suggestion that she may be with bad people.
Bad people.
Who?
Who are these
Who
bad
are these
people?
bad people?
Yeah. She didn't hang out with bad people.
No. I would say she didn't hang out with criminals or
She
bad
didn't hang
people.
out with bad people. I would know if she was hanging out with bad people. No. She was out camping with me and my family and my children. We're not bad people. So I know all of her friends. I know everybody she associates with. And so that's where I'm like, okay, if she's out with bad people and you're worried, then why aren't you phoning me and telling me this? If you were worried about her after your argument and you panicked and left and you thought she was with bad people, why would you not phone me and be like, Danielle, oh my God, Amber's gone and she's with these bad people? What? Why haven't you called me, man? It's really confusing. Yeah.
I don't want to characterize anyone as a bad person, and yet I suppose Justin himself, with his own criminal background, which is public record, could he have meant bad people from his own life?
Has to. That's has to.
It had to have been because she didn't have bad people in her life.
I don't even think Amber knew his criminal history. I don't see her knowing how far back it went.
I have no idea what she knew because I didn't know any of it.
That's what I mean.
You talked earlier about at points running through every scenario in your mind. Is there a thought at all that Justin's involvement with other people could have led her somehow with...
She wasn't very involved in his life. No. He was very much involved in her life.
I see. So she wasn't, as far as you know, going and spending time with his friends or...
No. And he pretty much from the start that they were dating, he was at her place all the time. Mm-hmm. She never went and spent the night at Justin's house.
Right.
Wherever his house was. I don't even know. I don't know much about the guy. Mm-hmm. And looking back now, it's weird that I didn't know much about the guy, being that she was one of my best friends. But again, I believe she was just showing me what she wanted me to see, right. Because I am a good support person. And if there's somebody that can support somebody in getting clean, it would be me. Mm-hmm. I'm a very strong individual, very supportive. Mm-hmm. So she knew that, that this is a good life.
Right.
And it's a good place to be, right?
You two, throughout this conversation, have, I think, consistently talked about Amber in the past tense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes when people go missing, there is this Netherland, really, where you don't know what to say.
Amber wouldn't have been gone this long. Yeah. That's all I can say.
She would be mortified that all of this attention was on her. Mm-hmm. She would be so embarrassed. Danielle, you call them and tell them it's fine. Everything. If she was out there, She would be so mortified that her face is plastered everywhere. This is not attention she would ever want. There's no way that she would leave any of us hanging. Her people were her life. That's what she lived for. Her friends, the little people, as she called them, her mom, her Lake family. That place was her everything. And she knew damn well that no matter what happened with her house, that she would always have a home at the lake, no matter where it was, whether it be in that house or maybe a little bit smaller of a house or whatever it is. She had a place at that. She knew she would never be kicked to the curb from that place. Right. She was a part of that family.
Yeah.
With some of the missing people families of missing people I've talked to, there's a possibility that they took their own lives. Sometimes there's a possibility that, they did actually like to spend time off in the woods and maybe they had an accident. She lived out at a lake.
Yeah.
Could she have drowned? There are a range of things that can happen.
Totally.
So
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
She was a chicken shit. She was afraid of spiders and mice. She loved adventures, but, going out into the bush by herself, she's just little. She's just little Amber. Oh. No way would she go and do that by herself. She wouldn't even leave her back door open in case a mouse would get in. She was adventurous, yes, but she wasn't brave to go and do stuff on her own.
So she's not going to take off on her own.
She's not going to take off on her own. Not a chance.
No head injury or anything like that? Like no concussion? No. Nothing. What are you able to do in terms of helping with the investigation, or where are you guys at with that?
Well, I have actually taken a step back. It was becoming a lot. I would fall asleep crying, waking up crying. I have a family. I have a lot going on in my life, and I pretty much just ignored all of it for a really long time, and it was becoming unhealthy. I could feel myself sort of going into a bit of a depression. It's just too much to wrap your head around. So I've taken a bit of a step back. I've actually taken a really big step back from social media altogether. I've put my business on hold, postponed my wedding. I am now kind of focusing on helping with the back end of stuff to help her mom make sure her mom's okay. Amber loved her mom with her everything. So just to make sure her mom's okay.
The day after we speak, I get a call from Danielle. She has recorded a message to Justin and those who love him. She asked that I include it in the podcast, which I agreed to do.
I guess I'd just like to say to anyone who loves Justin, I'm sorry you're going through this. Mental health is no joke. And to Justin, well, man, I don't know why I still haven't heard from you. You spent quite a bit of time with us as Amber's boyfriend. I'd like to think I was pretty supportive, and I never did anything to you to make you believe that I wouldn't be a safe person to contact. You had no problem messaging me in the past, asking me questions, and being a safe person to speak with. I was always very kind and supportive. I get you were probably scared when you resurfaced from wherever you were, but we all were, and for so many different reasons. If what you say is true, we would have graciously accepted your help in searching for Amber. You say she was the only person who opened the door for you. Well, don't forget, I opened my door too. You knew how much Amber means to my family and myself. You knew how loved she is by her friends and family. If you would have reached out the minute you knew she was gone or with bad people, as you claim, we could have all been in this together. We could have shown the world that you were in this search with us. But instead, I learned about your story by a news release. That makes no sense. It's been almost 2 months. We've done everything we could to find her, everything that we know how. We have exhausted every single resource that we can do as her friends and family. Yet you remain silent. I just don't get it.
Danielle is being careful. Justin Hull has not been named as a suspect in Amber Manthorn's disappearance. At the time of publishing, Amber has not been found. The search for her is ongoing. And while her disappearance is certainly out of character, it may not be a crime. Still, police have not ruled out criminality in her case. By the time we finish our conversation outside, patio lights are glowing against the darkness of the forest. It's late. I give Daisy one last pat on the head, her bright white fur now a sharp contrast to the gathering gloom of the night. As I back out of the driveway, I watch as Danielle waves goodbye and hops onto her ATV and heads down a trail into the darkness. Anyone who may have information and has not already spoken with police is asked to contact the Port Alberni RCMP at 250-723-2424. And if you want to help support Amber's friends, you can join them on Facebook through the group Finding Amber Manthorn. I'm Laura Palmer, and you're listening to Finding Amber, Island Crime, Season 4.